Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a new Idle Huntress video. Today's video is going to cover Sett, who is the newest Season 2 Huntress. She is an Earth user, and also she has agility, which doesn't make any sense because that's clearly a staff, and you'll see she attacks with magic. So I don't know whose idea was that, but they're wrong. And also I'm running out of agility equipment, so it is really, really bad, and you never, ever get the element you want. So rigged on top of no more money. Rip me. Okay, but besides that, we are going to go over her kit. But before we do that, they've actually added a really, really helpful little menu thing. They've updated the, the tips and like tutorial write-ups for the game. If you go to the story and you see the map, there's this little tab right on the right here, and we click it. It'll show us all the little tidbits about the game that is not expressed anywhere. It was kind of briefly, but you really couldn't see it if you knew where to look. But it's there, and it covers where you can get all the materials that you might need eventually. But most of them are minuscule, and you will not get unless you spend money. So it sucks, but hey, it's somewhere in the game and not on the Discord somewhere or anything like that. But it is what it is, and luckily it saved me some time because I don't have to then make that guide. I will maybe, but busy because of work. And I barely have enough time to make these videos still. I thought I have a little bit of time, but with the house moving and all that, setting that up is slowing down and getting to a position where I can finally start living in it. That's good, and that's going to give me back more time to make some more content. However, I'm thinking about making more music content because I haven't done that in a while. But Idle Huntress won't go away, but I definitely want to flex my producing skills again and make some music and hopefully make more money. Because money is hurting right now, especially a mortgage. So it is what it is. But with that out of the way, we can get right into her showcase. So the translation team decided to go with Seth for her name. I like Sett better, so I'm going to call her Sett. So if you hear that, they're interchangeable. They mean the same thing, but without clarification, we'll go into her first skill, Invisible Anger. So at level 1, after an enemy takes an action, including anything, there is a 40% chance to petrify the enemy for 1 round. At the beginning of each round, Sett gains 1 stack of ice resistance, and then petrify means that they're unable to take an action and cannot become immune, and can be dispelled and only effective on non-boss targets. So this is only going to work on your PvP targets or PvE when you're doing like story missions or whatnot, but none of the big boss monsters are going to be able to get petrified. But this is useful to negate against to prevent people from becoming immune. But if they're already immune, like Iori usually is at the start and other characters, it's not going to do anything, but it is helpful to just stun them, essentially. Another form of CC, especially on our Earth teams. Now at level 2, the chance becomes 60%. On level 3, the chance becomes 80%. So if they do anything, this is more so just essentially another Charlemagne without the 100% percentage. And it's not guaranteed because some of them, if they are immune to like debuffs, then they won't get petrified, but it's still good to, essentially mute the enemy team as much as possible, so long as they're not resistant to it. We have her second skill, her ultra skill, Chilling Tremble. At level 1, Sett attacks enemies 5 times, dealing physical damage equal to 60% of attack. On the last strike, deals additional 500% of her attack per ice resistance stack. And if the ultimate kills a target, then she uses the ult again. And we all know ice resistant, you can only have up to 10 stacks. And we have we have Cleo, we have Nero, we have now Sett, and then we have Herc, who are able to generate these ice resistant stacks, and as long as you get to 10, she's going to be dealing an insane amount of damage. And then at level 2, each strike now deals 120% of attack, and at level 3, 180% of attack. So that is essentially 4 attacks at 180%, and then the 5th attack at up to 5,000% damage with those 10 ice resistant stacks. So insane amounts of damage, and this will go into my final thoughts at the very end of how we need to build her. Next, we have her first passive, a Desert Wisdom. At level 1, increases self-attack by 10%, defense by 10, hit by 10, crit by 10, and physical damage by 10 for 4 rounds. Now at level 2, attack and defense up to 20% now, and at level 3, hit and crit at 20%. So this is a general overall just stat buffer for only 4 rounds, and I do not believe she reprocs it, so you have 4 rounds of increased stats just to get those early round hits in to clear the teams out. But if you were to have her with the most attack on the team, which is going to be pretty hard with how we're going to build her. You could have her with Medea, and then she's going to proc this, 3 times, up to 3 times, so 60% 60% boost on all of those stats if she were to be Medea supported, right? But that's going to be a weird situation, but a funny situation. Next, we have her stat passive, Blade Dance. At level 1, Sett's way of survival in the desert is like dancing on the edge of a blade, filled with danger. Increases HP by 15% and tenacity by 3%. Now at level 2, HP 20%, tenacity 4%, and at level 3, HP 25 and tenacity 5%. The HP is nice because we're going to want to build her really, really tanky and really, really thick, like those thighs down there. Sorry, that was a bit out of character. But we want to make her survive as long as possible so that she's dealing a lot of damage, because she's going to be stacking those ice resistant stacks throughout the game and throughout those rounds. And the longer she's around, the more damage she's going to be dealing and petrifying and so forth. She's a really good, semi DPS, hard anti-support. She's just an all-around great addition to the Earth team and replacing Hercules if you didn't have Medea on there, but we'll talk about team comp in a second. Next, we have her exclusive equipment, Desperation and Fear. At level 1, dodge 3%, level 2, crit 4%, level 3, attack 25%, which is really, really nice. But at level 4, EE 30. At the beginning of each round, place Fear on an enemy with the highest attack, and Sett's ultimate and normal attacks will attack the enemy with Fear first. So then Fear will reduce that target's defense and final damage, and then they cannot be immune to it but they can be dispelled and last for 1 round. Now at level 5, the Fear reduces a target's defense by 20%, final damage by 10%, and level 6, defense by 40%, and final damage by 40%. So it's going to be weakening up them all around, and then also their final damage reduction as well. So this is just going to really, really really rip apart someone's passive defense on themselves. But this would have been nicer to have more attack on herself, but it's always nice because it's helping your team overall deal more damage, because that enemy is sustaining more damage overall, if that makes sense. But if you were to invest into Sett, you definitely need to get to EE 30, but going to EE 50 is fantastic. But definitely with all these new units and Iori just coming out, and who knows what's coming out next. I think it's that Fire Girl, the next, essentially the Pandora replacement. But she is a good addition to have with EE 30 at the least. With Sett's UR skill, Terrifying Gaze, at level 1, after Sett's normal attack, there is a 100% chance to use her ultimate again, and starting from the 5th round, at the beginning of each round, the Fear will reduce a target's final damage by 40% and attack by 40%. And physical damage reduction by 30%. So, meaning they're going to be taking 70% more damage from physical attacks, which, because they made Sett a physical agility user, then she's dealing physical damage regardless, and is just going to be dealing 70% more attack to the enemy, as well as all your other teammates that are doing physical damage are going to be dealing insane amount of damage to the enemy, as long as you have her with EE 30 so that she can fear the enemy, as well as now we're focus firing on the highest attack unit, just like Plato in a way. But definitely Plato is dealing a lot of damage with Medea support, but Sett can do it by herself as long as she has more ice resistant stacks and can get those 10 stacks before she dies. But overall, this is like really, really strong to her, because she's ulting every single round after round 5, and then she's just ulting every single round she uses a normal attack. So essentially round 3 and onward, she's ulting every single time. And like we saw before, if she gets a kill with an ult, she's going to keep ulting as long as she keeps getting kills. Just like Junke and just like Sima Yi, and I think a couple of others. But this is, she just has a lot of snowball potential. Unfortunately, she doesn't have, after a kill, she does even more damage, but it's all right. Having that recyclable hits is essential, or just steamrolling through a lot of characters now. Her pet skill, Lordly Aura, at level 1 for the first 3 rounds of battle, Sett has a 20% chance to be immune to magic damage, then 40%, then 60%, then it lasts for 4 rounds, and then 100% immunity at level 5. So pet level 200, you don't need the level 6, starred pet. You can have star 0 and level 200 pet, and you will be 100% immune to magic damage. Just for Sett, which if she's on Mono Earth with Nero, and then you have Cleo and Herc and Hannibal, if Hannibal survives somehow, but all of them are essentially they can withstand the barrage that is the Takeda, Zhao, and I guess Prom Exodius, right? They just rip through your teams, and that's been a problem beforehand, but now with Iori just being immune and dealing a insane amount of damage to Zhao isn't such a problem, and then now with Sett dealing, just negating it entirely, we don't have to worry about it. As long as you can kill Zhao before she nukes your team, and then your Sett is just stunned because of fire, because, you're throwing a mono Earth team into a fire team that has no resistance towards it, except for hoping that you get the sand cage or golden cage before they stun lock you, essentially. So it's a matter of speed, which most Takedas are incredibly fast, but I know my Nero is very, very fast, so that I make sure to get the sand cage proc as soon as possible. Last but not least, for badges and runes, we're going to go straight thickness. We want to do 2 green and 2 yellow for that HP and defense procs, and then we're going to go all HP on the main stat and HP on the substats. For badges, we're going to go HP for HP, and then we're going to go attack, and then also more HP, and then attack if possible. They are suggesting the tenacity one, I guess, to reduce crit chance, and then also to just inflate your might, which I still don't get, because it's, I guess, if you want to prevent yourself getting snared, or I don't know, just to might check people, I guess, but I still don't get it. Just go HP and attack. That's always solid. So this is where I kind of I deviated. I went 2 green and 2 red, or 2 brown. I just wanted the extra attack because she still needs to do a certain amount of damage, even though she has the possibility to really, really snowball with all the ice resistance stacks. I still want her dealing damage, because if she's immune to magic damage, which is going to kill most enemies, except if you run into Mordred, which will rip you apart, you're fine. You don't need to go super heavy in HP, because she doesn't deal more damage based on her HP. So I don't know why they're having you double down on it so much. You can if you want to, but definitely I went majority HP, and then I went 75% HP, 25% attack if you wanted to put a ratio to it. But overall, she is just an absolute beast. So without further ado, let's go into her compositions that we can put her in. All right, so we want to build ice resistance stacks on her. She can build them herself, but definitely we're going to need Cleo and Hercules or Nero, right? The way I run her now is because I want my Nero to get a lot of golden cage stacks. I put my Medea on my Nero's team now, because I don't need Zhao to have Medea necessarily to do crushing amounts of damage. I'm gonna run my my fire team into Charlemagne's now, because I need to nuke their Charlemagne before she can get the 100 of stacks of her immunity, right? Because now that we can see the counters on the stats above the Huntresses, we know how unkillable Charlemagne actually gets, because I don't know if it's a coding issue, but she gets snowballier and snowballier. Every time she's able to get her realm off, she gains more and more realm stacks, or whatever you name them, right? So it's just an insane amount of stacking, and we need to kill her ASAP, which is why I would throw your Zhao at Charlemagne teams now. But because we're doing that, we can throw Nero teams at Mono Earth teams at a Zhao team. We can throw our Nero and Sett team at an enemy Zhao team, because we're going to throw Medea so that Nero gets to have 3 procs on the golden realm, and hopefully we can get the golden sand cages so that we can get them locked, and that we don't get stun locked before we can get any attacks off. This is going to help us lock them in, and then Nero's going to make sure that no one's moving, then Cleo's going to make sure no one's moving, then Hannibal's going to make sure everyone's stunned, and then by that time there's going to be a good amount of ice resistance stacks on Sett, so that then she can start nuking the enemy team just by doing her zap zap, right? And then as the enemy team is dying, because there's usually that fourth character on that team, because it's going to be Zhao, Takeda, Prom, and usually Carmen. And then we typically either see Iori on there, we see Morgana on there to kill enemy Zhaos, or we see, what's her name? We see Honda, and then we see Michelangelo so that they can get their shields on Carmen. But besides that, because we can withstand the insta-nuke at level turn 0, essentially, because all of the sand rulers with Nero are immune for 2 rounds up to, and then they can keep getting that immunity. And then also now Sett is immune to magic damage at 200 level on a pet, or you have that percentage if you don't max out her pet, or as long as you can get it, right? She is very useful, but definitely that is in my mind is a good counter. Now, sadly, at very high elo, it's a matter of how many more hundreds or thousands of dollars has the guy above you put in. So it's really, really hard to get these close comparisons, but we can see them on the higher levels when we can watch League Arena, and then Tower, I think, I forget what it's called, but the Tower Trial, whatever, when we have everyone in top, like we can see everyone climbing up from the last 10 servers and then compete against each other and then see how that goes. But besides that, she is a very, very cool Huntress, in my opinion. However, she costs money after a lot of people spend on Iori, as well as she will need to have level 200 pet and then at least EE30 so that we can get those fear stacks. So if you're able to invest heavily into Sett, she's well worth it. But I think you should get her if you have Nero and Medea. But should you get her if you don't have a mono earth team yet? No. Definitely focus on getting Iori and finishing out either your Zhao team or finishing out your Charlemagne team, because those are more essential in core mechanics, because you can still get away with, if you're in mid elo, you can get away with your Chiomes and your freeze teams. And if you went rain with Niwa and Plato and Shibata, you can get a pretty good rain team with that, especially Medea. But overall, I took my bet with the Mono Earth team because I knew what Nero and what Sett had to offer to the game, because we know about how deadly and annoying those sand cages are. So I made sure to take, advantage of that and not invest into the Plato teams with Medea on that. But I have Medea on my Earth team just so they can do extra damage, as well as to make use of Iori having the ability to stack with Wind team and or Earth teams. But freeze teams, once again, they are just obsolete now in these higher elos. Mid elos you can still get away with it, and low elo you can definitely get away with it, but Earth team is where it's at right now. I think that covers it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. We have channel memberships now and super chats, so if you guys want to support the channel, that's a great way to do that. Or you can also go to my Ko-Fi like normal and support me there. But I think that covers it. I hope you guys enjoyed once again, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.